Spouse points for getting compensation, traveling around the country to get free drinks everywhere, Ventana Big Sur canceling. Did they do enough? And 44 first-class seats on a Delta plane. All that coming up right now on MTM Travel.
It's according to everybody else, they did not do enough. That was like every comment.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. And Mark, you have a success story. Your wife, she goes down to Kentucky, finds a surprise, but she fought for some compensation. And, we're always happy when the P2 doesn't make us do it.
I know we always joke about like how they mess stuff up and stuff. So I have to give her kudos on this. They're on a field trip. They're staying down at a Hilton in Kentucky, like northern Kentucky, right on the border with Ohio. And I guess they went and pulled out the pull-out couch and to turn it into a bed for my son. And the sheet on there just had this like massive stain. I don't know how you'd miss it. They must not have changed the sheets or something. There's no way that somebody put this on or if the cleaning person pulled it out at all. It was obvious. And hopefully Shawn's throwing that up on screen now. But so she went down to complain. And I said, I probably would have like tried to get a different room or something like that. But she said, hey, there should be 20,000 points in your account. And I'm like, okay, but I didn't book it through Hilton. I booked it with the Bilt Palladium $200 credit, used $100 in Bilt cash. I think it was like $450 for 3 nights. So we got $300 off. Worked out perfectly. And I'm like, how did they do this? And then I noticed that there was a reservation in my Hilton Honors account. And I'm like, oh, crap, did I forget to cancel that? Because I had booked it with points and then cancel. And nope, she had them look up my account by my phone number. They added 20,000 points. After she checked out, they hit my account. I was kind of impressed all around.
That is impressive. I mean, so I'm assuming she's in the Cincinnati area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Northern Kentucky airport is right there. That's the airport for there. And even more impressive than that, Mark, is the Gap outlet store located right in there. I just figured I'd give some good advice for people who find themselves in that area.
Oh, it sounds like that's Benji advice right there with his Banana Republic credit.
I swear to God, we were going to fly out. I had like an hour to kill before we went to the airport. And my buddy and I found this Gap outlet store that's like the national outlet store. It's not like a little local one. I guess is that where their headquarters are or something? I don't know. But always fun when a P2 does that. How does that happen, though? I guess, is it me or our housekeepers? And this is such a hard job being a housekeeper in a hotel, but are they just getting lazier?
I don't know if they're lazier or if they have quotas, and I think there's a lot less of them, so they have to do more rooms. So I'm guessing they skip some things each time. And I mean, we've talked in the past about books and stuff written about how they use Windex on glasses because they didn't want to have to take them down to get them washed. And that's why you should never use glassware in your room and things like this. All these little tricks and tips that they use to get rooms turned quickly. But this is just probably the couch probably wasn't messed up and they decided not to pull it out to change the sheet. I don't know. That's why I never want to sleep on a pull couch because anything on there has probably been on there for too long. It's gross, but normally you pull it out, the mattress covers on there, and you have to put the sheets on yourself and all of those things. But pulled it out and it was just like brown stain.
Oh, travel, germs, 2026. Yeah, all kinds of fun stories around all of that we're not going to cover here. But you haven't lived till you got a poop stain on your couch.
I don't think it was poop, but I hope not.
All right. Let's talk about something a little bit better. Mother's Ruin Challenge. The Mother's Ruin, this is a set of bars. I think they have 5 locations: New York City, Chicago, Nashville, Austin, and Charleston. And Charleston, I guess, is that their first location, their main one? Because they had this challenge, the Mother's Ruin Challenge. If on Mother's Day you visited 3 of their bars, you could get like a free beer for life. 4, you got a free cocktail. 5, you got something else. But basically, I don't know if anybody did 5, but we know people who did 4. This is pretty incredible.
Yeah, a couple of Diamond members. I mean, you could do 3 and get a tattoo of their logo, and then you get a cocktail for life. But no, I think they just choose. I think each year, this is the 4th year, I believe. Each year they pick a different designated spot that you have to go to. Because I think last year was Austin, maybe. I could be wrong there. But so you had to go to Charleston, and then you could go to either 2 others or 3 others and stuff. And it seemed kind of fun. Our buddy Kevin put some videos up on his Facebook page and probably Instagram and elsewhere But they would go into like the bar, and most of them open at 8 a.m., which is crazy to think of in like New York City that the bars are at 8 a.m. And they'd go in there like, all right, who's from New York? Who's from here? Who's from there? And everybody starts cheering, and you get a stamp, passport stamp. And as you get the 3 or 4, then you show that to the people, and they give you your card or whatever you use to go and get a free cocktail. And I think this is fun, but it would be worth it if you live in one of the cities that has the bar, or you could go there easily. I just don't know, like somebody like us, how often are we going to use it once in our lifetime? Like when we're in New York or Chicago, are we going to go out of our way to get a drink there? But if you lived a couple miles away, I think it'd be well worth it.
Yeah, this is like one of those things if it was right for you and being in this hobby and being able to pull off something like that is really cool. I 100% agree. If you were in a city where this was, I mean, obviously lifetime, how long are they in business or whatever, but you could get an insane amount of value out of this. Now it's one drink a day. They're expecting you to spend more money, but it seems like a cool place. And I think on a wider level, this is some of the cool stuff that's possible in this hobby. We've seen people do all kinds of crazy things. Kevin, who you just talked about, I mean, he did all kinds of fun Taylor Swift stuff too, traveling all around the world.
Yeah, because you could buy Taylor Swift tickets in, like, let's say Rio for $40 versus thousands in the US. So you could fly down there, do all of that, and save a ton of money and still go to the concert. So there's opportunities there because of miles and points. And that's true of anything that we do, like just being able to get places and do things that others probably couldn't, because if we were paying cash, it would be astronomical cost involved. But with this, they flew like Southwest, and you get somewhere, you start. I probably would have started in Charleston because that's probably the most difficult to get in and out of. I probably would have flown there the night before, started in Charleston, worked my way up to New York, flown up there if you can get a nonstop, then gone to Chicago, then gone to either Nashville or Austin. Yeah, I bet you could do 5 if you really try, because you're getting into Central Time. You get a couple more hours if you start on the East Coast and you finish in Austin, because I think you can technically do it up until they close at 2 a.m., even though it's the next day.
Hopefully somebody did that, got the flight suit, a custom flight suit is what you got for 5 of them.
Sad. I want to see that.
It would have been worth it to go.
Imagine
to
wearing that
one
while you're getting your free beer. You just walk in looking like Maverick from Top Gun.
Show up every day in your flight suit,
Yeah.
tattered and
I totally would. That would be my lunch spot. I would just go get my beer, do some work in my flight suit. Oh, epic.
That reminds me of that Weird Al song, Lame Claim to Fame. So there you go.
Well,
your lame claim to fame is
it's better than wearing a wife beater in your hotel room by yourself.
Okay. What about
What's up,
wearing a
Benji?
wife beater in Alila Ventana? Forgot the forever stamp part of that whole joke. This episode is brought to you by our partner Travel Freely. We've been working with Travel Freely for, it seems like, almost 10 years now. One of the first apps in the space, beginners, advanced. They have all the latest deals, guide you through your miles and points journey so you can travel like us.
Yeah, it's free to sign up. They help you organize everything, keep track of your annual fees, give you tips and tricks on which credit card's best for you, what to use, how to earn more miles and points to travel the world. It's a great, especially if you're just getting started, it's great because he has a lot of good guides. But even people that have been in this for 15 years use the app because it's that helpful.
Scan the QR code, click the link down in the description, sign up for free. Great advice, also helps support the show. Travel freely. But Alila Ventana, like, imagine, this is a crazy hotel. I mean, the rates are in the thousands of dollars a night. And soon this hotel is going to cost 90,000, 100,000 points a night. I don't know what it's going to cost, but it used to be huge in this space when it was a category 7 and a lot of people visited it. And it was sort of the hot spot of the moment a couple years ago. All that to say is somebody booked a room there for this summer, and then the hotel says, oh, sorry, we're oversold. You don't get to stay here.
Yeah, and it sounds like he wasn't the only one. Like, it happened to some other people too, and I'm guessing it's the same weekend. So I wonder if somebody important came in and bought out the resort for a wedding or private party, shindig, whatever. And maybe it's like a politician or a famous person or whoever just wants the privacy there. So they booted everybody out. And the original, what they came with the email was, you can move to these dates. We have these dates available. If you want the same dates, we can move you to these list of hotels nearby, or we can give you 30,000 points if you just want to cancel, which seems totally underwhelming, especially when you talk about having to maybe change flights, cancel flights. If you didn't book with miles, you might get stuck with a non-refundable type of credit that expires. Or if you're changing dates, you're talking a couple $100 or more to pick the new flights with cost of because you probably booked this before the cost of gas spiked and all of that. So it just, I was kind of like, really, this is all they have?
Yeah, this is actually a very disappointing offer and almost insulting, I would say. So I had a very similar thing happen at Miraval, where I booked a weekend that I had, and that it just ended up being that they didn't have the points availability. This is when they had the different windows for points availability. Whatever it was, they had to call me and say, "Sorry, we know you booked this," and it was a little weird because you had to call them at that time to book it. So we actually called them, booked it. Then they call us back like a week or two later. Oh, we don't have that weekend. And to their credit, they said, yes, you're going to come on a different weekend, but we're going to cover the cost and refund all your points. And that's exactly what this hotel should have done. They should have given them a free stay plus points. And I understand that's a lot, but you know what? When you're a 5-star hotel charging that much, then you have to deliver a level of service. Another weird thing, it says that one of the nearby hotels they offered was the Park Hyatt Aviara, which is in San Diego, right? Like 1,000 miles away. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They're just trying to throw Park Hyatt in there to make people feel good. I don't know what the deal was with that, but I mean, had booked Baja Mar, the Grand Hyatt there, for opening like shortly after it was originally supposed to open, and they ended up having to reach out to us, call us a few months before, and said, "Hey, we're not going to make that open date." It ended up being quite a bit later, but we're going to refund you your points. I had used 2 free night certificates back when you could get the category 1 to 7s from signing up for the credit card. So I'd use those. They're like, we're gonna give you those back, and we're gonna give you 40,000 points. And think of what 40,000 points was worth 10 years ago versus what it's worth now. So he reached out or responded to the email, and then they called him and said, "Hey, we understand. Some of the dates worked for him. He was able to find flights. I think it cost him a couple $100 more to change the flights. And he's like, these dates will work, but this is going to cost me more." So they offered to move him into like the top tier suite, or at least above the suite he was going to be in. And I think it is quite a bit nicer suite. So I think it has a plunge pool and all that stuff. So really nice room, and then gave him 45,000 points. He thought that was good. I thought that was pretty solid, but you and everybody else has said no. It should have been all free.
No, because it's pretty standard in the hotel industry if you do this that you give the person the free stay. And so it just seems to me that it's a revenue manager trying to have their cake and eat it too. I mean, the 45,000 to me, the least solution would be you get a free stay on your next, whenever we can accommodate you, the stay is free. The points on top of that would be the icing on the cake. I don't know. I mean, I've had this happen a few times. I've never even had a hotel try to charge me. So uh, I think that, yeah, everybody in the comments is right. He should go back for more. No, but I do also think if you agree
MTM
to
said
it,
this sucks.
no, he agreed to it. He should stick to it, though. I do agree to that.
Yeah.
It was good. And that's the thing is, if it's good for him, this is the problem for the internet, right? We go to the internet and then we get all these opinions. And then, if he felt good about it, then that's great. Because
Yeah.
who am I or the commenters on the internet to tell him that he should get more, and then all of a sudden he feels bad because he got taken advantage of or something like that. So I also say if he's happy with that, then that's good.
And I think that we're willing to be a little bit more forgiving versus like if we had paid cash for all of this, let's say we were a baller and we're spending 10 grand on this hotel for 4 nights or 5 nights or whatever it is, and we spent a couple $1,000s on flights out there, then I think you'd be expecting a bit more. You're like, hey, we're talking like a $15,000 trip, and you're kind of screwing me out of it at the last minute, 6 weeks out, 8 weeks out, whatever it is. Then I think we'd be like, all right, not cool. But since we have miles and points and we booked this with points, maybe we kind of undervalue ourselves a bit in that. And one, the room, whatever. Okay, the room is the room. But the flights, we can easily adjust those when we're booking miles and points, or we know, all right, I booked it on this airline. I can use that credit quickly, rebook it over here. You can search the flights easily. Like we're able to make this pivot very quickly, very easily, where somebody else would be like, oh, who do I have to call to cancel this flight and move it to these dates? This isn't going to work. This is crap. But yeah, to offer up a nearby hotel that's definitely not on the same level. This is like an aspirational property, probably a lot of people's favorite resort, bar none. Doesn't matter what program company you're talking about. in the United States. It's just nothing really compares. All inclusive for food. You have to pay for drinks. But yeah, they could have. I hope when he shows up, there's like bottles of wine, all that type of stuff. They still have a chance to do a little bit more on that end of things.
Yeah, I agree, and hopefully they do. And yeah, I'd love to hear what everybody out there has to say. On one hand, I'm happy he's happy. On the other hand, I don't think that this is a way a hotel of that level should treat a customer. To your point, you are no different than the customer who's paying cash for everything. You really have to, I do agree with you. Sometimes in this hobby, people they downplay themselves because they almost feel like, oh, well, I'm using points, so I'm not the same customer. You are. You're there. You've earned it. Just get the service that you want. And, also, if you're happy letting things go, let things go. Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting at the front desk and you're getting upset, are you ruining your trip? And so I try to let a lot of things go. I've talked about that before. I ask for compensation very rarely. I haven't had compensation with Hyatt, for example, in maybe a couple of years at this point. So I don't know. Just try not to sweat the small stuff. I know how things should be, and maybe that's not always the best thing because even though things should be a certain way, there's always a human factor. And is it worth getting all pissed off about?
He needs to message his concierge and be like, wait, this still isn't good enough. Get some points.
I haven't messaged my concierge in like years.
Are they even still a thing? Do they even still have them? Who knows?
Hey, I will say, here's a tip. I don't know. From back in the day, I talked about this years ago when I had my really bad stay at the Hyatt Regency Phuket, which I still to this day say it's the worst Hyatt I've ever stayed at. And I
And
talked to
others
my
love it.
concierge.
You get hate every time you say that.
Oh, that hotel. Oh, yeah, because people say, oh, I love that hotel. The hotel
Yeah.
across from the trashy beach. Anyway, like this was the only Hyatt I ever checked out of early. I actually left this hotel early and I was going back and forth. The hotel offered to refund one night of points. And I was talking to my concierge. There was safety issues. There was all kinds of stuff. And I sent all this to my concierge and she's like, well, you have to talk to the hotel. And I said, Mrs. Concierge, I said, I can go above your head. I can go up as high in Hyatt as I want. I'm not wasting any more time on this. Give me my points back, or I will escalate this as far as we need to go. But if you give me my points back, I'll just keep my mouth shut and we can go about our way. And
except for when I blast you on YouTube all the time.
I'm not blasting her. I'm blasting the hotel. No, but I wasn't like, oh, I'm trying to like heads are going to roll for this. I didn't want to go any higher. I just wanted my points back. It was that bad.
Yeah. No, I mean, people have their places that they hate, and a lot of it's like a snapshot in time. And I don't think other people understand that when we're talking about things. We're just talking about our experience. We can't talk about, unless we've gone to the hotel 5, 6 times, we can't talk about, hey, this hotel usually is like this. And sometimes our snapshot in time is really bad. I mean, yours in Atlantis a few years ago was really horrible. Other people love that hotel. And I remember Bethany Walsh back in the day talked about her Ziva experience that sounded horrible, and people just like went nuts on her in the comments of that article because that was like their favorite hotel. And people have trouble detaching themselves. If they love the place, they expect everybody else to love them, and that's just not the way it works.
If the Hyatt Regency Phuket is your favorite hotel, I do not know what to tell you. It's okay. I mean, there's far worse hotels in the world. I've stayed in far worse hotels than that. It's a Hyatt. But if that's your beachside resort, if you're going to fly all the way across the world to Thailand to go sit on a beachside resort, that is not the one to go to. I will die on that hill. But yeah, I mean, it's always the case when you're reviewing things. People have their personal stuff. And I'm happy when somebody goes to Atlantis. In fact, I've kind of flirted with the idea of going back to Atlantis to see with the new owners, the renovations. I am not somebody who's going to like just for the rest of my life hate a place, and I really did love Atlantis. I love the water parks and stuff. So if they fixed all the crap, then I don't know. I mean, I would rather go back and enjoy it than be bitter the rest of my life.
You think you can still get that free stay like 7 years later?
I really should use that email and say, hey, I'm ready to come back, baby. Show it to me. For people who don't know, I had a crazy experience, wrote it up. The head of all of Atlantis met me when I was there. And then they had their PR firm a couple days when I got home offer me a free return stay, all expenses included, to go back to Atlantis. This was in January of 2020. And then I turned it down, though, because I had no desire to go back there at that time. Then, of course, March happens, and I don't think the offer was still standing after that anyway. But glad to see that going well. I hope the Hyatt Regency Phuket is doing well, and I hope that the Alila Ventana, I hope that they treat that person really well. But let's talk about this has been all over the A321neo from Delta. They are going to have 7 of these planes. I think eventually they're going to make these planes with the full lie flat like some of their competitors, but they're going to fly these Atlanta to LAX, San Francisco, San Diego, and Seattle, and they have 44 first class seats.
Man, if you're like a platinum or above and you don't get an upgrade on this flight, are you going to be so mad?
Yeah, this picture, and we only have this like I think this one.
I thought it was
picture,
fake. I was like, is it April Fool's when I saw this photo? I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, it looks like the entire plane because of the way the bulkheads are. But basically, everything in front of the engines is first class on this plane. I think there's 44 first class in the 50-ish range of premium economy, and then about 60-ish economy seats overall on this. But they don't have the lie flats, and eventually they need to compete with that. So this is sort of a transitionary product, but you're going to need at least 2 flight attendants to serve all of these. Can you imagine? Somebody made a joke like if you're in the back and they run out of food and you're going to get stuck with the crappy stuff, all the first class joke. I would just be super happy if I was a premium flyer to get better chances at upgrades.
Yeah, I wish if American Airlines came out with these planes, holy crap, people would spend on their cards for life. And yeah, you can do it with Delta, but it's just not the same value proposition, I don't think, versus American Airlines. And that's why so many people have been focusing on them the last few years. But I'm a Delta Silver right now, so I know there's no chance for me. Was gold and platinum in the past. Very rarely got any type of upgrade. I basically looked at it as status for getting Comfort Plus, and that worked out fairly well, especially when I had platinum. But that was when they were doing all the rollovers and stuff during COVID, so everybody had status. It was kind of crazy then. I feel like now, if you have platinum, you're probably going to get into these first class seats, but you do have to fly through the worst airport in America, in Atlanta. No, I'm just kidding. It's not the worst, but I don't like it.
You're just jealous because they didn't add these planes to Detroit routes.
I know. That would be nice.
Getting all the love.
Yeah, and like you said, that they want to put lie flats in these, and maybe it will be for certain routes, especially domestically. And that's what I flew back from Dublin on Aer Lingus, and it wasn't the greatest experience, but it's still lie flat. So if you're getting that domestically, that would be insane. Now, if they start moving to where they're flying more of these internationally or to Europe and stuff, I wouldn't like that change.
I think we're going to see it. I don't know if we're going to see it with the U.S. based carriers as much. We have already seen it with other carriers, like you talked about. Aer Lingus, TAP, I know, flies a ton of narrow bodies between the U.S. and Europe, and we're going to see just more of these. This is the future as they tried to build these narrow body planes that can stretch out the distance and they can go just a little bit further and they can change the economics significantly. And also, I guess the good side of flying narrow bodies on these longer routes internationally, or I don't know, getting better premium products, is that they can fly routes that these bigger planes economically couldn't fly. So maybe it does open up a lot of other opportunity. But I think these look good. These seats look pretty good to me.
I think Delta's first class is the best of the big three domestically, probably, well, better than everybody else, I would say, because Alaska Airlines, it doesn't have a great first class product in the U.S. Southwest, I mean, we don't really know what that's like, but it's probably not going to be all that great. So I would put Delta there, and it's far above and beyond. And I think this just is a lot more of that.
Delta does not have the carpet on the wall, so I don't know why you're talking about Alaska.
You can't smoke a Jeffrey before you get on a Delta flight, but you can before Alaska.
It is funny how Delta
Do you get that
lovers...
reference? Do you get?
No.
You don't get that reference. I'm going to tell it to Joe on the after show right after we film this.
All right. Yeah. Stay tuned for Patreon, you peeps out there. But you're going to New York City. I just have it on here to preview your New York City trip. What's up with that?
Yeah, I'm staying at a new hotel brand this weekend that I've never stayed at, so I'm excited to share that with everybody next week, and something kind of unique that there's not a lot of them. So we'll get to dive into that, and then we're hoping to do the pub crawl that I've been trying to do for several years now, where we start in Central Park and walk the whole way to Battery Park. And I just kind of want to walk that part of Manhattan all in one go, and I think it'd be kind of cool, something that a lot of people have probably done, but maybe not shared it with people when they do it. I don't know. We'll see how crazy it gets and if we are able to complete it when it's all said and done.
More video, Mark. Longer videos. We want lots of video to show. Didn't you try to do this last year or something, and then you ended up not finishing it? Or
we tried to do it like 3 years ago. I think it was May of like 2023. So it was for my friend's 40th. We tried to knock it off there, and we started from the southern tip and worked our way up. And like halfway through, she got a call from a business acquaintance, or from her work life, and they had a penthouse overlooking Tavern on the Green. So we kind of ditched it to go there, and then ended up going to Birdland Jazz Club because he hooked us up with like the best table in the place, and just kind of like abandoned the whole thing when we were 60% of the way done, and we had plenty of time left to do it. Now those are two unique experiences that I would never have any other time. So I'm happy that we did it, but I'm still sad that we never finished it. So I'm glad to go back, try to take it over again. We'll see if it happens.
Yeah, I hope you have a good time there. I've been playing with my flights I'm going to Europe in a couple weeks, and I had the Condor Premium Economy, which is depressing. I was kind of going. There's no business class. That's not happening. I mean, I've been looking at
now their premium economy. Is it like domestic first class, kind of like other premium economies, or is it just like a blocked middle seat on Condor, since they're like a low cost carrier type?
No, it is. I think it's a few extra inches of pitch. It's not as fancy as many premium economies, but it's not a block middle seat, but it's not a wider seat. So it's just kind of like a normal economy seat with maybe a leg rest. Then we would spend a day in Frankfurt, go to Athens, but then I've been flirting with the idea of just flying directly to Athens, and all I can do with that is economy. I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna stick it out with Frankfurt. Yeah, but after the trip, I've been looking at all kinds of things, like going to Southeast Asia, but then there's fuel shortages there. I've been looking at that Bogota flight. So I don't know. It should be an adventure. I'm trying to stay on the road for a couple weeks. After the family might head home, I may go do a week or two of solo travel. But is it me, or is the world kind of like, I'm a little less excited because of all the craziness? Like, I don't want to go to Malaysia and then have to deal with fuel shortage. I can't say fuel shortages. It's very hard to say.
That's like I can't say regularly. Regularly.
I don't want to go to Malaysia and deal with fuel shortages. So I can't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, come on. Let's be honest. You're just sad because there's no business class anywhere. That makes it a little bit tougher of a travel, especially as we get older and you're tall. So that's definitely something to consider. Well, it almost worked out. If you go to Bogota, it almost works out that you could come when we're in Cartagena, like hop a little flight over there and say hi. But no, it's just, I'm glad that you're going to get the comments that say you try to change things last minute too much this time instead of me. So that works out.
I mean, if I had business class, I wouldn't be trying to change it. But I'm kind of looking, it's like, okay, if the American award all the way into Athens, again, economy is probably a little better. So and it's cheaper. So am I like, I don't know, is it really worth it because I have premium economy? But I think we'll stick with that. But either way, like leaving Bogota, coming back to the US, there's not a lot of business class, but going to Bogota, going to the Middle East, obviously, but also going to Hong Kong, to all of Southeast Asia. I can find business class, all of those places. But also, it's not just about business class. I want to go places. And the reason I think Bogota is really sort of winning out in my head is the weather. It's if I go to Southeast Asia, I'm going to be dying in the heat. There's shortages, stuff like that. The time zones, obviously, are much harder to deal with. Although I'll already be in Europe to start. But going to Bogota, weather's incredible. I love that city. My daughter's never been there. And that Grand Hyatt there, I hate to be one of those Hyatt people, but it looks pretty good.
Oh, better than the Phuket.
It definitely looks better than the atrocious Hyatt Regency Phuket. I know the last time I talked about the Hyatt Regency Phuket, somebody who just absolutely loves that property laid into me about how stupid I am. So I can't wait for that to happen. But I promise you, I've stayed in thousands and thousands of hotels.
It's like the Twilight Zone. Sean's going to get the hate on this video. I love it.
Yes. So I don't know, but Bogota, I would love to, people who haven't been, I mean, Bogota is so cool. And I'm going to go back. I really think that's what I'm leaning towards. Not because of, when I was at the meetup, people were like, oh, why Bogota? I was like, well, I found it because there was a business class space on that direct flight. But when I think back to like all the places I've been, Colombia and Bogota, pretty high up on the list.
I know everybody's been talking about Panama City a lot, and I know you guys went there years ago on your mileage run, but it's like you can find decent business class award availability there. It's very affordable. People have been raving about it the last several years. So a place I definitely want to check out, and then I can have a terrible looking steak and send pictures to PDX Deals guy, and then he can make fun of me like I've made fun of him for years.
but it has to be in a mall food court because that's where that steak was had. And that's a good old chimichurri on top. It wasn't a bad steak. Oh, yeah. I'll see if I can get him to send me that picture so we can throw it up on the screen. Good times. Summer coming. All the travel. Let us know where you guys are going down in the comments. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we'll be back with all the miles and points, credit cards, all that sort of stuff on Thursdays. We also do our Vegas show 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, over on the other channel. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please